And action. So, yeah, what do you define comedy as?
Um, I define comedy as an intellectual exercise. It's a way to make something that's objective, subjective, and then that subjectivity, there's like layers of humor, and that humor you can use in different purposes. It's almost like a tool. It's like looking at a rock and then creating that rock into a tool that you can use for different things in conversation or for storytelling.
And could you tell me what influences or impacts your sense of humor?
Um, I will definitely say my sense of humor has made me better at talking on the fly, and it's made me really good at interpreting other things, um, like metaphors, allegories, parts of speech, and different kinds of rhetoric. It makes me more aware of what people are saying and how they're saying it because if you put a funny lens on a lot of things, you get to see it. I feel like you get to see more color when you put a funny lens on a statement or whatever it is. And I think with comedy and humor, you have that sense about you. You kind of put that lens on almost everything to find something funny or to make something funny out of it.
Yeah. And how do you think race or nationality influences one's sense of humor or like yeah,
Yeah.
comedy?
Well,
How?
everyone's always brought up around friends where they talk about each other. They talk about how they're living. They laugh with it. I mean, I know, particularly me. I know that my friends and I, all my black friends and I, we would just make fun of each other because that was funny. It was just funny as hell just to
So
say
you would
someone else
use
to look at someone else in the face and just be like, you are very ugly, and I don't know how your mother loves you.
yeah, this is superiority humor actually.
Yes,
That's
yes,
how
it
it's
is.
called.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so
interesting.
I think it depends on how you're brought up, but you definitely know that there's a difference in different comedy, in different types of humor, different ways ideas are expressed. Even if it's the same idea, there's a difference. There's a very distinct difference in how ideas are expressed based on the source of the comedian, on his or her race, nationality, or religious affiliation, or even political affiliation.
Yeah. And could you list several films or like comedians that have comedic significance to you?
Um, Kevin James is what I like to call scream humor. Like when Kevin James, like he's like acting regular, and then when something crazy happens, he's like, "Oh my god!" Like I think that's really funny because normally I don't break out of the dimension of my own character to be funny, but he does that really well. Vince Vaughn is a big favorite of mine because just the way he starts talking, he starts rambling, starts going really fast, and it's just something something really funny is normally happening when he's doing that. Um, and oh, Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham, he's a wordsmith, and I'm definitely I love wordsmiths. People who can find really interesting ideas, put puns to them, put all these different interesting original metaphors to it. I really love. Um, and Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has probably made me the
Yes.
most socially aware person,
Why?
just with his ability to talk about race and to do it with the courageousness and the comedy
Yeah.
that he did. It was
Yeah.
freaking
He's
hilarious.
so outspoken and
Yes.
he goes out there combining politics with
Hmm.
race.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's definitely an example of like comedians aren't just meant to be funny. They'll make you laugh, which is important, and that's how they keep their job. But they also make you think. And I think without a doubt, Dave Chappelle will put that thought to you.
And how do you think comedy has changed throughout the years? If you think about like from silent era until now,
Mm.
nowadays.
Well, when I think of comedy, I always think of stand-up. So I don't really think of comedy in movies or comedies in theater or anything like that. I normally think of stand-up, and I don't think stand-up has changed too much. Maybe people's stories have changed or different instances as far as its relatability to the audience. But I don't think stand-up has really changed. I just think some people will add something new to it or modify it, but it will stay the same shape generally. It will still find a way to roll, in that way. As far as comedy and movies, it depends on the genre because I find slapstick humor, I never found that hilarious. But there's more ways to do slapstick humor in some ways that people understand than, well, I think slapstick humor is one dimensional, I'm kind of biased, but where I can see some things evolving is political satire. That kind of humor, that can revolutionize so many different ways because it's so circumstantial. So it's only hot for that moment, and it only makes sense in this context, and then you have to move on from it. So I think political satire, that kind of humor, is the kind of humor that will always change because it only matters for a certain amount of time, and it speaks to a certain context, and then that circumstantial atmosphere in that comedy really keeps it alive, really keeps it fluttering.